welcome to this class. So we're going to paint this rose, not exactly this one. I'm going to paint it again. This is my test piece. I do these test pieces so my directions are more clear, so there's fewer spontaneous strokes. I started with this petal right here, with this one, and I kind of was just looking for the next petal that wasn't next to this one, so I actually went all the way here because you don't want to paint a petal that's right next to the one that you just painted, because then you're just going to create a bloom, right? While this layer is drying, and then let's say you're painting this one, you don't want any water to go from here to this drying area. So I have my colors squeezed onto my palette. This is my imidazzle yellow right here, and there's my yellow ochre, and then Watercolor red, and then I have cobalt blue right here, and then phthalo blue. So actually, this is how I would show it normally. It's just I have too many reflections on this palette from the lights. I just want to make sure you can see it. But those are the colors I'm starting. I'm actually working with just the primary colors until I get to the stem, which won't happen till the very end, basically. And we just need to wet it, and you want to go really nice. Now, you don't have to go that close towards these sketch lines. You can actually wet it up to like a little before, and then once you have a color in your brush, then you fill that area if that feels more comfortable for you. And I'm going to start with the lightest colors first. So I am going to start with the yellow here. Here's my yellow. I'm diluting it a little more with water, and then I'm bringing over a little bit of this yellow ochre here too. So those are my primaries, but I also want a tiny bit of red. There you go. And a little more red. Well, this was way too much. I'm just gonna add some water here. I want this to be actually more diluted with water. And that's because I want the paint that's at first to really spread. So I need the paint to spread. So these are my yellow tones. Now this is a little too yellowish, so I'm grabbing some more of the red with it. And once I apply colors, I'm going to move the paint around. So I'm just going to move it around a little bit with a damp brush. So that's what I do. That's what I do. I leave the areas like the paint, and then I'll clean my brush, wipe it on a towel, and then I'll move the paint with a damp brush to see like whatever I want to place it. Now I want some of this blue as well. So I'm just grabbing some of this phthalo blue. You can use also cobalt blue. I'm using both of these blues. Sometimes I'll have more of the cobalt blue. Sometimes I'll have mostly the phthalo blue, for example. So it just depends what color maybe you have. Like, sometimes I use more colors than I need, and just because like we have all these colors, right? And with watercolors, to me it's all about mixing colors on the paper. That's why I don't really create like additional colors until I'm painting on the paper, like on the paper when I'm placing these colors. That's my idea of mixing colors on the paper, not your palette, because with watercolors it's kind of easy to get into muddiness. Now this is a damp brush, so it's like I'm connecting these pieces together. It's like I'm connecting the pieces, and then this is a damp brush, so I'm cleaning my brush, wiping it on a towel, and kind of filling in the gaps, like little spaces that I haven't reached yet with the color. And what I'm doing is also pulling the paint, kind of moving it. If you study the rose, like you look at the petals in the reference, first of all, there's a lot of light here, and then we have light here, right? So it's kind of like lines too, like the veins. So that's why I'm kind of pulling the paint, but it has to be done with a damp brush. So you clean your brush, you wipe it on a towel, and then you kind of pull it and move it, pull it and move it. So kind of that's what I like to do. We just work a lot of it with a damp brush. So here I actually removed too much water, so I just need to bring some water. I was trying to lift it, but sometimes with lifting we actually remove too much from the paper, and then it's easy to create a bloom, hard edge. There's not enough of the flow, and this is not like it's drying, but it's not like that dry yet. I still can add some more colors, and I'm going to grab the primaries. So red, blue, yellow. I'm going to place it on the side. I want to show this to you. And what I'm trying to do is grab like a cream top like ratio between water and paint. So here's the blend. So there's some yellow. I'm gonna grab a little more, just so you can see it. There's my cobalt blue and then drier quinacridone red. But I need more of that. And I'm trying to make this cream top like ratio between water and paint. I need way more of the yellow. Now that looks more like the yellow. And now, before this is dry, what I need to do is go towards this edge. This is the shadow, and I want to have a soft shadow. If I want to have a soft shadow, then I need to add this paint wet on wet. Now, if you don't make it on time, it's okay. Just wait until everything dries, and then you can apply the colors again once you re-wet the paper. So don't worry about it if you can't make it on time with this shadow. But if it's still wet for you and you can apply the colors wet on wet, then go ahead, grab more like a cream top like ratio between water and paint of the three colors together. Now, whenever I go back to the palette and I grab this red, blue, and yellow, it's never the same ratio between the colors itself, because now I have more red, for example, with this mix. And I want to kind of pull it out, just like I see it in the reference. Like we have these veins, we have these folds. That's what I'm kind of trying to recreate here. Now I got to go back to this side. Now this, what it looks to me, it's drying. It's drying super fast actually. But if I want to add shadows, I need to hurry up. I'm going to grab with that same mix. So the same thing, but I have a little more of the red this time. And you know what? It feels too reddish. So I just grabbed some more of the phthalo blue. And again, like I still have the yellow in here in this mix. So it's still the yellow. It's just that the ratios change. So now like I have a little less of the yellow, but I have mostly the quin red, for example. And now another thing is I'm wiping that brush on the towel very well. It's a damp brush. I didn't clean it, so I still technically have a little bit of paint. And I'm just going to pull it from that edge that I just created, the darker edge. So again, please don't get frustrated if something doesn't quite work out, especially if you are a beginner or you just started maybe a year ago and this is your first flower, because everything takes practice. There's just no shortcuts with watercolors. Like here, for example, this is too dry for me. This area is way too dry and I just added color. What am I gonna do here? This has a hard edge. What I'm gonna do is grab a small brush. This is my round 2. I don't have enough water, that's why the brush is misshaped. But this area has dried, but I want it to have a soft edge. So I'm just softening it. And the complementary color to green on the color wheel is red. That's why we're gonna add a little bit of red to that green to make it darker. So again, you want to determine what is the local color of that object. In this case is green stem. We have a green stem. Maybe it's a little more brownish, but either way, I'm just going to say it's green. And then what is the complementary color of green? When you look at that color wheel, it's red. That's where we're going to add red, and I have quinacridone red. So I'm just going to use quinacridone red. I'm going to make a close-up here, and then I'm going to wet it. So I'm going to make sure you can see this. And this is my round 8 golden one. And I'm going to wet it. So just like before, same thing, nothing changed. I'm just wetting, just like the petals. I'm going to wet it. Go, a little more here. So I said yellow. So there's my yellow. I'm actually gonna get some more water. This is more like a between, I guess it's milk-like ratio. And I'm just going to add it, not everywhere, like, I mean, it kind of looks like everywhere, but I am actually choosing areas where I want to apply it. And then, I didn't really dilute this sap green, but there's my sap green. I want sap green. I want this to be like a milk-like ratio between water and paint. And I'm just gonna drop it just like I did with the yellow. So just dropping it. Now my water is really green now, actually yellow green. So now I'm gonna grab some of this red, but I don't want to just drop directly that red. I want it to have it like slightly blended with the green. And it looks like the right side is even darker a little bit. And I'm just gonna drop it, just like before. Here you go. And actually, when you mix green with red, you can create a shade of brown, just FYI. Now, this kind of went up there. I'll worry about it later. For now, I'm just going to apply these colors. Okay, everyone, so we finished our rose. I can't really show you the other version right now because this is still wet, so I don't want to go through my journal. But I will take photos so you can compare the two. You can decide which one you like better. Again, I do see the difference that this one is a little darker, so the values are a little darker, and I have lighter values in the other rose, but it's just a matter of how much paint you add and how much you just keep adding more and more. And also the grays, like the different shades of grays we can create with the primary colors red, blue, and yellow. Like again, this petal here is more like a blue violet gray, I want to say, and this one is a little lighter, the same with this one. So it's up to you how you want to go about it. I think it's better to go lighter actually, because this rose is pretty delicate. It's actually very delicate, and I would say like the way I painted the first version is probably a better way to go to approach this. So as usual, please let me know anytime you have a question, and thank you so much for your time.